All right, some big news coming in the last couple of minutes. This is from Ariel Hawali. Probably saying that name wrong. I always get that name wrong. But this is what it reads. Anthony Joshua versus Francis Ngannou is now a done deal. 10 rounds, boxing, obviously Queensbury rules, to take place in Saudi Arabia. I would imagine that that is most likely to be March the 9th. That was the date that was listed, or penciled in, I should say, for the Wilder fight. As I said in a few videos, the Saudis tend to have plans in reserve. If they have a date in mind and they have a particular fight in mind, if for whatever reason that gets pushed back or it doesn't happen, they normally have a plan B, right? And this potentially is. He goes on to say His Excellence, Turkey Al Sheikh, I think is how you say that name. I mean, I've heard it that many times, it's starting to sink in. And you need to hear these names so many times. I think it's Turkey Al Sheikh. And if I got that right, boom, give myself a pat on the back. Has confirmed, date to be confirmed at a press conference in London this month. Blimey. So, Eddie Hearn said in an IFL interview about a week or so ago that the potential opponents for Anthony Joshua were a list of three: Hrgovic, Zhang, and Ngannou. Now, out of those three names, I said the one that makes the least amount of sense, just from a sheer, just every point of view, is Ili Zhang. Unless the Saudis are willing to chalk up a lot of money for that, it's quite a high risk fight with basically no reward, if you think about it. You know, there's really no reward there, an interim title. It's a glorified mandatory. With Hrgovic, now, Hrgovic, so let's just say hypothetically this is happening on March the 9th, right? That's roughly 3 weeks after Usyk versus Fury. Would the IBF act like that? Would they act within 3 weeks? Possibly. I mean, I think Crawford lost his title fairly quick. I think they have stripped people fairly quick. But you would take that fight with the assumption that the title would get vacant and that it would be on the line. Because let's just say, hypothetically, Joshua was to announce he's fighting Hrgovic. But obviously, undisputed hasn't happened yet. So Fury, Usyk have their respective fight. Say Usyk wins, and Usyk negotiates with the IBF. Okay, I'll hold on to the title, but I'll fight this person, Fury. It's with the assumption that it'll be for a vacant title. If it's not for a vacant title, you're essentially just fighting a guy for a mandatory spot, which you could even argue an interim title is better because at least it gives you a title if they become stagnant. So without a title, would Hrgovic make that much sense in terms of a money point of view and just an event? No brainer. It really is a no brainer if you think about it. It would have to be Ngannou. They would both make an absolute king's ransom for that fight. Ngannou had one of the best debuts you could ever have for someone who's in his mid-30s now and is only really... Yeah, people have said that he's trained in boxing, but he's never done Queens, he's never done professional. To go in there, and I didn't feel like he did, but some people do feel like he beat Tyson Fury. I mean, that's something else. To go in your very next fight against Anthony Joshua, a universally recognised top 5 heavyweight, again, it's pretty impressive to do that if that is the case. And obviously both guys would be very well paid for that. Would it do the same? No. Well, would it have the appeal? I don't really know what the numbers were for Fury and Ngannou, but would it have the appeal of Fury and Ngannou, given the fact that, yeah, Joshua is a big name too, but with Fury, he was the heavyweight champion of the world. With Joshua, he is former heavyweight champion. So, you could say, oh, I've beaten Joshua. I'm not saying I'll be picking Ngannou, but if you beat Fury, I mean, his stock already rose, but Jesus Christ, if he beaten Fury, if he beats Joshua, his stock will still rise, definitely. But yes, would some people look at that and say, you beat Joshua, he's lost 3 times and he's got no title. But if you beat Fury, you beat the heavyweight champion, arguably the best heavyweight in the world. In terms of this fight, if and it does get announced, Joshua Ngannou, look, Francis Ngannou surprised the hell out of me in that Fury fight. I don't want to discredit Ngannou and just turn around and say, well, Fury was very bad. He was very bad, right? But Ngannou definitely showed that he has ability in there, certainly. He's not a novice. He didn't look novice-y. His gas tank held up quite well. He showed to be powerful, took a good shot, very physical, incredibly strong as Francis Ngannou. I mean, that's something that just immediately jumped out at you. And I think that'd be a shock for Joshua as well if they do fight. So there's a lot about Ngannou that I liked. And looking at the heavyweight division, would I pick him over certain top 20 heavyweights? Yeah, I probably would, to be honest with you. I mean, you look at people who fought on that day of reckoning card, like someone like a Junior Fa, someone like that, Mark Demori. Yeah, I'd say he beat those guys. And if you put him in with someone like a Dillian White, yeah, maybe even a Jarrell Miller, people like that, I'd be like, you know what, I probably would favour Ngannou. Carlos Takam, people like that, I'd be like, yeah, I'd favour Ngannou. Against Joshua, no, I wouldn't favour him, quite frankly. And Joshua, coming off the back of that win over Otto Valian, where he looked a lot more confident, and Joshua is more of a, listen, Fury at this point in his career, he's unbeaten. He's going into a unification, undisputed fight. He is arguably the best heavyweight in the world, yeah. But he is not a consummate professional the way Joshua is. Because Joshua, you don't see him out of shape. So with Joshua, he'd be going from one camp into another, not having to lose any weight, not having to spend the first few weeks, trimming down and then worrying about training. He's going to go in there, not take Francis Ngannou lightly the way Fury did, and be in shape. He's not going in to lose weight and just have a bit of a run out. He's going to take it serious. And I would imagine he would dispatch Francis Ngannou. He probably, like I said, Ngannou was very strong. Seems to have a decent bit of punching power there. So I wouldn't say Joshua would look at Ngannou like, I'm going to have a field day, which I'm going to steamroll you. He'd be wary. And I'd say he'd be in for a shock when he realises this guy is a brick wall. I can't move this guy, because Joshua was quite strong himself. But in all honesty, I would expect Joshua to win that fight very comfortably, to be honest with you. And, a win like that, high profile event, more so than, well, he is a high profile name, but not in a sense of, it's not like you've beaten Fury or Usyk or someone like that. But it would probably elevate his stock, probably back in the UK as well. So I can see what they're doing, and look, I'd watch it. I watched Fury and Ngannou, and to be honest with you, although, when it was announced first, I was like, good lord, it was entertaining. That whole card was brilliant. The only issue I had with the card was not the fight, was that massive gap between the co-main, which was Wadley versus Adelaide. That massive, it was well over an hour. That massive gap was BS. I swear, that was not easy. Believe me, because I was doing a watch along for that one. That wasn't easy. That was the only issue I had with that card. Other than that, it was brilliant. It's really good. And again, these Saudi cards, yeah, they're void of atmosphere. Certainly are. But we're getting massive fights. Massive cards. Is that not a good thing? Yeah, the atmosphere. Look, at the end of the day, would you rather not have the cards? Or would you rather have the cards with a bit of a dead atmosphere? I really don't mind it. It's like during boxing when they were doing it behind closed doors. No atmosphere to speak of. The only people you had there were the officials, the fighters in the corner, the doctor and the commentators, the punditry team. That was it. Nothing. But I'd rather that than have nothing at all. We saw some good fights, to be fair, like Warrington versus Lara, Evanesian versus Kelly. They were decent fights behind closed doors. So that's my thoughts on that. Let me know yours in the comments. Do you think I'm selling Ngannou a bit short, that you would give him a better chance against Joshua than I do? I wouldn't imagine it's going to be a 1 or 2 round blowout, but I wouldn't envision that he'd be able to stick the distance this time. Let me know in the comments. Hope you enjoyed it, people. Smash the like button if you could. Subscribe, of course, if you haven't already. For now, I will talk to you.